Welcome to the last episode of Our Place, episode 10. We have Ryan Davis here. This is the man for real. Ryan, tell us a little bit about you, man.
Well, this is my first podcast ever, even though it'll be your last for the season. So I'm pretty honored to
Cool.
be sitting with you today, Isaac. My name's Ryan,
Yeah,
Ryan Davis, and I am company owner and founder of Animals Productions.
cool.
And we're a music event coordinating production company based in Lancaster. And we've done stuff in Lancaster, Harrisburg, a little bit of York, and even to Slab City, California.
Wow.
Yeah. Uh, I mainly produce events myself, and I bring like touring artists to the city
Okay.
of Lancaster in different venues.
Wow.
Been doing that under Animal House for about 5, 6 years, and then I've been booking shows for about 10,
Wow.
25, and I started in the music scene when I was 13, and then
Wow.
started booking my own shows when I was 15.
Wow.
Uh,
Dedication, man. Hustler for real.
yeah, it's been a long journey.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. My main goal and ultimate goal is to have my own venue in Lancaster and
Very cool.
create like the atmosphere and environment that I'd like to provide to the city, which is colorful, warming, welcoming art, music, venue space with
Yeah.
affordable artist studios and
Wow.
an elixir bar serving like non-alcoholic tea beverages.
Dude, I love the elixirs.
Yeah.
Elixir, those are popping up around Lancaster too. We already have an elixir shop here now, which
Mm-hmm.
is pretty dope, and they were at your consent event already. So how did you get into booking these shows? So you said you were pretty young. So how did those doorways start opening for you?
I um, my father took me to like my first concert. I think it was like September 2008, and I saw like a screamo band called Silverstein. Um,
Yeah.
and in that like month, I just kind of fell in love with going to concerts, and I went for about 2 years. The Chameleon Club, on average, I would say like minimally 2 times a week.
Wow.
Um,
That was
I was like
crazy.
addicted to just like seeing anything. I would just go and see anything, and I started like not officially interning, but interning with a record company in Lancaster, and
Was that CI?
yes,
Okay.
I'll
Gotcha.
just say that short and
Okay.
simple and politely. Yes.
Gotcha.
so
Skirt.
yeah, and
Gotcha.
I was told that the artists that I was like looking for weren't
Hmm.
really going to be successful here, and I was like, well, I like these bands, and I want to see if they're successful. So when I was 15, 2009, I just started booking my own shows, and I've been doing it ever since. And
Cool.
people love what I bring. It's usually something different. I work with all genres. I don't limit myself. And if it's good, I'll work with you. I really strive to work with like LGBT community.
Hmm.
I focus on working with women and people of color.
Yeah.
And that's like what my mission is. Am I living up to what I said I was going to do, like for myself and within the community? Yeah, I'm honored to have these people come to stages of Lancaster and
Yeah,
just play
dude.
in various venues.
That's very awesome. And you are on Pride Committee?
I am.
So you're helping do that as well.
Yes, we formed a new Pride committee this spring, actually, spring 2019. All new members, and they're all representation of the LGBT community.
Yeah.
Community. I think we have like 12 people on this
Wow.
board.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm still getting everyone's names. That's how like wide it is. But I'm the booking agent in entertainment, and I'm like basically bringing touring and local artists to the stage at like Clipper Stadium,
Cool.
and kind of organizing the production layout itself.
And it's happening in July this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And will Pride Week happen in July too? They're the same thing?
Saturday, July 20th is Pride, and then Pride Week we tend to do in June.
Yeah,
So
that's what I thought.
I think we will.
So they're
be
going to
doing
be
that
two
in
different
June.
things.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
7 days of Pride Week in June, and that'll be like a bunch of different fundraisers where typically like the events that will be put together will all the proceeds will donate into Pride itself.
Gotcha. Yeah, dude. I went to Pride Week last year, and it was like probably the most fun week of the summer, dude. Like it was just dope. And the last day where they had like the street festival was just amazing. So yeah, dude, I'm very excited. I'm glad you're on that committee because I feel like you are gonna bring a lot of cool talent to it, and you seem to be very good at that kind of stuff. Do you think this is gonna kind of help with your long term vision of the venue?
I think it helps with getting my name out there.
Uh-huh.
It's a pretty big deal to basically be hired to bring the production to a 6,000 capacity stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm honored to do that. And now that I can announce, since I signed the contract, we're bringing Andrea Gibson,
Whoa.
which is non-binary poet from Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, I've heard that name before.
Poet. Yeah, we've worked with them 3 times in the past, I think 3 or 4 years, and they played Millersville University. Probably played Lancaster about 6 times in about 6 years.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So they're not unfamiliar to Lancaster, so people will be a little bit more inclined to like come out too.
We had about 400. I think it was 413 people come out last year to see their event at Talos 360. So
okay, wow.
That was like a $20 event. Pride is $5, so I'm thinking that people are gonna drive from all over just to see Andrea for $5, and then also enjoy a Pride festival.
Dude, sign me up for the first ticket, man. Dude, that's so exciting. So talk a little bit more about this venue and kind of this process of getting a venue, because I know you started it. So what has this whole deal been like for you?
It's been interesting. It's been exhausting. It's been amazing. It's been frustrating. But it's been a learning process, and I believe in myself. I believe that Lancaster definitely, absolutely needs a new venue in Lancaster that speaks for the artist community of Lancaster, and with that we need more spaces available for creativity. Right now we have 2 venues. We have Talos 360 and the Chameleon Club, very different places, and I would like to bring an affordable artist studio above our venue, where we have local artists either do residencies or pay like a rent to create and have an affordable place to do their work, and then have a venue. Still working on basically what our building will look like because we're still looking for it. But it could be anywhere from like 400 to like 1,000 cap venue, maybe various rooms to create those capacities. But I competed in a proposal with Lancaster City in September 2018 with the Southern Market Building, and we placed second out of 4 concepts. Which, even though we weren't accepted, like we didn't win the proposal, it was a pretty big deal placing second for my first proposal I've ever written. And we were competing with other people that have existing companies. So it was something I'm very proud of myself that I did.
Awesome.
And just from like talking to the city and like Score Lancaster and Community First Fund, they have never seen a proposal written like I did. We did 81 pages of full on like beginning to like end stages of what our venue would look like in Lancaster City. Yeah, we spent it's been, I would say, about a year I've been working on that. And it's been about 6 years of dreaming it.
Dedication.
And I'm currently with Link Living Realty, and we're looking at different spaces in basically Lancaster City or the downtown area to hopefully find our home.
Yeah, dude. I can't wait for it to come, because I think you were right in terms of like we really need more spaces here. Sorry, computer's about to die. But yeah, I think between the Chameleon Club and Talos is just too limited. You know what I mean? Like we need better opportunities, not just for different acts, but for I think different atmospheres. You know what I mean?
I mean, you go to Philadelphia or in Brooklyn, like you, of course, their city's a lot larger, but there's so many. You could hop around venues all night and catch different acts and artists. And in terms of Lancaster nightlife, sadly and unfortunately, our nightlife is mainly restaurants and bars, and um, they're offering, of course, like alcohol for entertainment. And I think I would like to provide a different niche and do elixir, tea, herbal drinks. Um, it will be a new concept
Yeah.
and maybe take a little bit of introductory to show and establish that this is a thing that's possible here.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe Lancaster will catch on to it. It's very popular in the West Coast right now. Things take time for the East Coast to catch on to that. But
That's very true. Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that alcohol has been like the regular, so people just kind of think that all you need is alcohol to have a good time, and you have the possibility to kind of show a different route, and you have the possibility to show people that we could almost do things differently and achieve the same level of fun and interest and all these things. Because I think a lot of times alcohol is used to kind of coerce and maneuver, and it's easy to like hook up when there's alcohol involved, and you kind of can create a different atmosphere where people are honestly just a little more honest. And I think that's a really powerful thing to have here in Lancaster with how heavy the nightlife is here. Like it's pretty heavy considering that we don't have any major clubs or anything like that. But we have a pretty heavy nightlife here. There are a lot of people that go out on the regular here. So it would give people who are probably experiencing nightlife negatively a different opportunity to still go out and still have fun and still experience all the things that they want to experience through being out. So yeah, I'm really excited to kind of see how that space goes. Um, so one of the events you just did was the consent, right? So talk to us about that because that was a pretty big event, at least from my point of view, being able to go and being able to sponsor. Like it seems like it went really well. So
Yes,
what was that process like of kind of bringing that in?
we Lost Sugar Disco is a business partner of mine who will be working with me to develop a venue in Lancaster, and that is Tiffany Wolf. Tiffany Wolf and I went to a Burning Man conference. I think that was like April 2018, and we met Emma Kawin, who was the sex educator that did those consent workshops in Lancaster, and we attended one of her workshops. I'm like, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
teach us more. There's more ways to say or give consent than just like yes or no languages. And I think that is hard for people to understand. It's like, what is consent? I know what consent is, yes or no, but there's so much more that is needed and sometimes happens that just the more we talk about it, the more we can be better people and create like a safer relationship between a sexual partner or a non-sexual partner.
Yeah.
It's really a relationship to everybody that we're in contact with.
Exactly.
And I knew bringing Emma here, teaching these consent workshops, that it was going to be very hard to promote, and it's going to be like, I don't know how I'm going to attend this. I'm not sure if I'm interested in this in terms of like a community sense. So I promoted it in a free workshop where we hired her to come down, and hopefully free would bring people to just open up and show up, which it worked.
Yeah, it did.
And we had 2 out of 3 successful workshops in Lancaster Library, TELUS 360, and Station 1 Center for the Arts.
Yeah.
And we talked about, or Emma talked about different consent workshops, different ways of consent through the community in each workshop. That was one was like with partners, dance floor, community, and the other one was business, and then the third one was at Lancaster Library, which was basically like a general
Yeah.
education for like all ages.
Yeah, dude, I was excited to be able to go to two of those events, which was the first one at Station One and then the one at the library. And both times, I think I took away a lot. A lot of what you were talking about was like the consent is both sexual and non-sexual, and just
Mhm.
like what it means to talk about our own boundaries, and like what is actually like what we're actually feeling and what is actually okay and not okay. And that was something really powerful I took away from it to take to all relationships,
Mhm.
not even just sexual. Like obviously it should be involved in sexual relationships as well, but just like to understand that we can cross people's boundaries without realizing it, and how important it is to actually vocalize our boundaries, especially when we think that we're in a situation where somebody may cross it or somebody is crossing our boundaries, and how much that actually can actually lead to like community and us knowing and loving each other better.
Mhm.
It's I think we all get kind of awkward. You know what I mean? Like if somebody's like crossing one of my boundaries, it's a little bit awkward in my head to like say, "Hey, could you not do that?" But maybe if I vocalize it, they'll start vocalizing some of their things as well, so that we can actually learn how to have a better relationship. And I really, really like. Her name is Emma, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I really like how Emma did that, especially in the last one where it was almost more like a community forum type thing where we all just kind of talked the whole time, in
Awesome.
which she kind of just facilitated that discussion. And we were all able to kind of talk about how these play into different areas. And it was really cool to see people show out and actually dive into this intensive conversation about consent. And so I was
Mhm.
really excited that you brought that here. And I think everything you do kind of culminates to like what you want out of your building. Like
I love that you
from
said that.
yeah, from the shows that you bring and have brought over the years to the kind of events that you're involved with and the kind of things you're doing from Pride to the consent, like they all kind of culminate into I think what is going to be a powerful building here in Lancaster. Um,
Well,
so
Emma,
yeah.
actually, before we came up with the consent workshops, the
Mhm.
reason why we stayed in touch with her and like basically kept our contact on file was we would like Emma to train our future
Yeah,
security guards at our venue
very cool.
and be not the scary big sense of protection
Hmm.
that other places that like it's like I don't want to talk to you, like you're
Yeah,
huge and scary and you're gonna punch me in my face. We actually want to create a security team that's like these angels
yeah,
that you know that have your back and
uh-huh.
that are here for you, not
Yeah,
to hurt you.
yeah,
um,
exactly.
that was the main thing, and then we just kept networking and collaborating, and that formed. And
Okay,
um, I plan to bring Emma back. I would love to work with her either in F&M College or Millersville University.
gotcha.
So if you're listening, we're interested. Um, and I plan to bring her back hopefully during Pride Week. I want to do
Okay,
an LGBT consent workshop.
that'd be
I
awesome.
feel that in the LGBT community, since the community is so inclusive, and also in our town, it's tighter, it's smaller
Hmm.
than in other cities. That consent kind of becomes like this gray area
Mm,
where maybe like butt grabs or kisses, I don't know, just more
yeah,
physical contact is more accepted, but that doesn't mean it was consented. And I
yeah,
feel that has become an issue in the community. And
yeah,
I just think like talking about it and just putting it out there, being like, hey, like, um,
mm,
ask me before you touch me,
yeah,
basically. Um, even if it wasn't meant to be sexual, it's like more of like maybe like this entertainment kind of
yeah,
ordeal, but it's not okay.
yeah, exactly.
So I would like to just broaden that
Mm,
education there in the community of
very
LGBT.
cool.
Yeah.
Dude, I am so excited for that week because I think what you're gonna bring to that committee is just a little bit of a, not only like an excitement like entertainment wise, but a little bit more of an educational twist. Because I think they had some of that stuff last year, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you are gonna bring in kind of like an addition,
Oh,
and yeah,
I am not the event corner for Pride Week, but I'm working with Karen Foley for Pride
right,
Week, and I and we're still working on like, confirming this if it's possible. But I'd like to do like LGBT consent workshops. I will be doing LGBT self-defense workshops,
Cool.
and LGBT firearm instruction workshops.
Wow.
It's like, what are you doing, Rye? I'm doing everything.
Yeah, you are.
But I would like to do that, and just make the LGBT community feel more safer and more confident in themselves, like walking into
Wow.
any city
Yeah.
scenario. And I'm also going to be doing a public one that's not really focused on like a specific demographic, and then I'm also focusing on LGBT shibari workshops where
Okay,
we're
what
gonna
is
do
Shibari?
shibari's like rope workshops where basically you get tied. It's like BDSM culture
Oh,
where
okay,
you get
cool.
tied, and we're gonna. I'm not going to be teaching, but a sex educator is going to teach different ways to rope people up, suspend people.
Wow.
We're going to have
Yeah.
BDSM 101 talks and bring that
Yeah.
culture into Lancaster because it's not here and it's taboo,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like
But it's happening on the low, you know what I mean? It's not like people aren't doing it.
it's
Just that
happening on the
that
low.
they're not doing it safely.
I hope people are doing it safely,
Yeah.
but it's happening very on the low where
Yeah.
it's. I mean, we're in PA, we're in
Yeah.
Lancaster, Pennsylvania, so it's very conservative to. BSM is this like weird freaky thing, but
Yeah.
it's a fetish, but it's
Yeah.
more common and more
Yeah.
visible in bigger cities. So I would
Yeah.
like to bring like crack the ice and like let's talk about BDSM. And if you
Yeah.
have any questions, like we have a sex educator who's been doing this for a living, and they're
Wow.
here to have you get your thoughts aligned. I guess I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Try to go where with that, but basically just establish conversation and go see where it goes.
Dude, that's very exciting. I think that's just gonna be. I think you do a lot of culture stuff. Like, you know what I mean? That's the vibe that I'm catching. Like, we've known each other for not that long, but even through that, like this like talk so far, like what I'm catching is that you do a lot of culture breaking stuff and a lot of culture shifting stuff. So you're not just doing things that people would want, which is how a lot of bookers are. You know what I mean? A lot of people who bring events, the first thing that they're concerned about is like, how do I make money out of this, and like, what do people want so that I can make money out of this? But you seem to bring a whole variety of events that you're like, well, somebody may want this, and it would actually be good for us to do this, so let's do it. Which is a very unique and I think amazing mindset to have, which I think sets you apart from other bookers and other event coordinators here, because you're not necessarily concerned on bringing in like one direction because you know it will sell out. You're interested in bringing in different things that actually help people grow, and I think that's gonna play for you better in the long term than the people who are just gonna take a quick buck. You know what I mean? Like doing a consent workshop for free. Now you have a bunch of tension around that. Like, I know a ton of people that wish they could have gone. So now you have a tension that's building because you're doing something that actually adds value to people's life long term. And so I think that what you're building for yourself right now is going to show massively when you have a space for it. You know what I mean? When you have the building, it's going to be like, oh, that's Ryan. He's the guy who helped me and my partner attend a BDSM workshop that actually, was very healthy for our relationship. Oh, that's awesome. Ryan. And like, our parties at our college changed because he brought in a sex educator. Oh, and now he has a building. And like, I think it'll just make sense for people to want to be in an atmosphere that feels safe and protected versus like Tellus or Annie's or any of the other bars that, sure, they may be fun if you're looking for that, but you're definitely not going to feel the safe vibe. Like, when you go into Tellus, if you do anything wrong, you're getting kicked out. Like a big security guard is going to come and like basically pick you up and throw you out. You know what I mean? I've had friends that got like thrown out of there for like just trying to break up a fight. So you know what I mean? Like, that there's not like protection or that anybody actually like cares about you in that scenario other than maybe your friends. But like creating a space where you're like, yeah, we want
that really makes me sad to hear that, because like, we're a very small community and we need to care about each other.
Of course.
And being in those nightlife experiences, I would hope that the staff are looking like to protect their community.
Yeah.
And if that's someone roofing drinks, someone not consenting to touch. I mean, I'm not saying that they're able to stop every situation.
Yeah.
But just more of this mindfulness of taking care of someone's well-being.
Yeah. Which is exactly what we need in the nightlife, because it helps create a different culture inside of it, which in where we're almost accountable to our actions. If you just like you see something and you just like pick them up and throw them outside and that's kind of all that happens, like that's not really accountability. You know what I mean? They're just kind of like, all right, well, I guess I'll just go next door and do the same thing.
I had a wild night. I got kicked out of this place.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
let's just get drunk at another spot.
Exactly. So like, there's no intentionality in terms of actually like rectifying something. Like, hey, dude, like, you can't do that. This is why. If you want to come back here, we can talk more about it, kind of thing. Or like even just like having better systems set up for non-consent like consent things, and like roofies and things like that. Like actually having different systems set up for that, rather than the immediately like pick up and toss.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause, like that's basically what we do with trash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like same concept. We just kind of pick it up and we throw it away. And again, I don't really think that leads to any real change of heart, because then well, the worst thing that's going to happen to me is somebody's going to pick me up or like grab me and drag me out of a place and then just throw me out, which means then I have like 5 or 6 other bars to go in, do whatever I want in until they ultimately pick me up and throw me out.
Yeah, and ultimately you forget what you really did wrong.
Exactly.
Because you're just pouring alcohol into your body. Not that I'm against alcohol.
Right.
I do talk about it. Like I don't drink. I mean I do have a drink here and there, but I mainly realized about like 4 years ago that I can achieve the same states of mind that I get from alcohol without damaging or hurting myself through basically I could be sober and do that, but also with a nightlife experience. If I'm drinking tea, people drink for like anxiety or to I don't know, just be more social, to maybe get the edge off a hard day, those things. And I found through teas that I can achieve those things. So just to clarify, I'm not
anti-alcohol. You're
anti-alcohol. I'm just trying to create a healthier scene.
You're anti-alcohol abuse.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, what is like common from the 21, like even earlier if we're talking college, but like especially from the 21 to like 23, 4 or 5 range. Like it's very typical for us to like kind of dismiss it and be like, oh, they're 21, like, oh, they're 22, like they're just going through this time, when we could be showing them that there's more than one way to experience that time.
Well, our society teaches us from this age we are doing these things, and we can destroy and fuck up our shit, our bodies, and that's okay. And this is what we do to have fun. But I don't believe in that. I believe we're responsible for ourselves every single day, and that we should, for our well-being, that we should do our best to take care of ourselves through body and our mind, and push people, encourage people to do the same. I think if you have to have fun to drink alcohol, you're not fun. That's it. So
end of discussion.
There we go.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna take a quick break here and get the camera back rolling. All right, Ryan. You said you wanted to like a little bit of response, so let's talk about this culture making in Lancaster. What's up, man?
Well, Mayor Deneen Sirachi says that I bring a lot of tenacity to the table, and I believe I do. I'm a go-getter, and I would say I'm very progressive, and I like to push boundaries to figure out, how open people are to concepts, or collaboration, introducing new concepts or ideas. I love networking and just kind of building off something, and then it kind of flowers into something that I didn't even see growing at first. I think Lancaster, I mean, it's been, I've seen a lot of change in the past 5 years, from like cookie cutter art to now it looks like we're doing a more public art sense with like local artists and like different artists coming to do street art, which is really awesome. I think that Lancaster though is still like on the verge of like playing things safe, and so they watch other cities, and I always say Lancaster touches the water, and then they go step back for a couple years, and they touch it again. Oh, I didn't melt. And I'm alive. And then like 5 years later they jump in, and then they're like, oh, we're swimming with everybody else in the world that's doing the same thing. They are a little bit slow on movement, and I would love to see especially like the government sense of Lancaster, and maybe like the front facing people of the community not be so afraid to just try things, and that we're probably going to fail in the middle of doing it, but then we can figure out what works, and then bring this person in, bring that person in to make it be something sustainable, something amazing. I would love to see just more encouragement and like effort in just trying new things and just like seeing where it goes. I'm a wild person. Sometimes I might be a little much for people, but I have a lot of ideas. I just would love, I would love people to just like, support that, and have the community and other companies just kind of see the bigger vision, and make it possible.
I think, it expands, I think, what's happening inside of a lot of young people, especially. That desire. I mean, I know many people who go to Philly to get the experiences that you're talking about, like, or to New York to get the kind of experiences that you're talking about that just are different. They're culture shaking. They could be a little quirky or weirder, but the truth is that like Lancaster hasn't embraced different sides of culture, so it's like kind of just like one thing, and it's like not even a very exciting thing. Like Tellus is their exciting thing, which basically says a lot about like the boundaries that Lancaster wants to cross. Because Tellus is a very like not like boring or anything place, but it's like a very
That's
simple.
a bad word.
Yeah, it's a very simple.
Boring should not be in your vocabulary.
Yeah, it's not boring, but like it's a very simple.
It's a genius idea, and
it is. It was a genius idea because
it's amazing.
The problem is that it's like it is the club of Lancaster, but it's not a club. Like, you know what I mean? And like so we have like a lot of these things that are kind of like multifaceted in Lancaster. Like Tellus is like our music venue, our rooftop bar, and our club. It's like it's a genius idea marketing wise, and like because they realized that nobody else had that kind of pull here.
Well, there's still nobody.
Yeah, nobody can
so
beat them.
If you got some money, talk to me.
Nobody can beat them right now. But again, like I would still consider it like a very like simple kind of step into what you're talking about. It's almost like still touching the water in terms of like what Lancaster could bring to culture in terms of not even just nightlife, but like as like venues for different things. Like Tellus is not just a nightlife spot, which is why I think I like it more during the day with the rooftop and all of that kind of stuff. But there's like a big opportunity to bring like different kinds of aesthetics and cultures of venues like yours to the city that would be more than touching the water. You know what I mean? And there are tiny places like Kaleidoscope that kind of like push a little bit of a different route, which is why I like going to Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope has a very homey feel to me. And I really like that about Kaleidoscope. I think they're cool people over there too, and they're very like, if you go to the Kaleidoscope door, they're like $10 if you have it, and I'm like, wow, that's so cool. And And so, like, I just like that there's, like, these small things that are doing it, but I would love to see it be more regular.
Capacities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
capacities, and also just be a little bit more regular for us to, like, push outside. Kaleidoscope is a very accepting place. And I know, like, Tellus pushes we accept all people, but I do think that it would be harder for, like, trans and LGBTQ people to experience Tellus the same way that like a straight white person would experience Tellus. You know what I mean? And so the inclusivity factors of like our nightlife and our just venues in general is one thing that concerns me, and that's something that I don't feel at smaller places like Kaleidoscope, which actually feel inclusive. Um, and so those kinds of culture things where like people are really walking into places and feeling like they can just be who they are is big to me. Like, how do we create a culture that has a lot of different things for the different kind of people? Because humans are diverse in their wants. You know what I mean? They're diverse in how they want to experience things. You know, some people want to do tea. Some people might like an IPA. Some people might not drink to get drunk, but they like a nice martini. Like, there's all these different ways that people take enjoyment, and I would love to see like all of those places start to form, but also have like a very inclusive atmosphere. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily know that I feel that yet. That like we actually have like a very inclusive atmosphere in Lancaster, and so I really want to see that not only us have more spots, but also have stronger inclusion mindsets behind how we do things.
I think that's a really great point that you made.
Yeah.
I think I feel very welcomed in the city. I feel for the LGBT community that it's safe to be a member in the LGBT community here. Despite there's like discrimination happening in different establishments and happening everywhere all the time.
Yeah, of course.
But I feel like for someone living in the LGBT community in Lancaster, it's become a more opening open and accepting place. But what you were saying about inclusion, our nightlife, we have a bunch of people in the nightlife experience, but I would say the focus of environments are very hetero.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what it is, and that's probably because most of the owners are hetero. And I would love to see more alternative queer spaces in Lancaster.
I think that's why High Fever does so well.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't got to go to High Fever yet. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know Jay, and because of Xavier, but yeah, I think that's why High Fever does so well, and why when there's a High Fever, I see like even straight people going, because for a place like the Village, which like on a Wednesday night is a totally different vibe, to have that space be brought into it, it was very powerful. And so I think again, like you were saying, like the hetero vibe, that kind of thing, when we kind of break it down, it actually creates a stronger following and a stronger environment for people, because it's not just like, well, who am I supposed to be in this space if I'm not hetero and very masculine and a lot of testosterone?
Oh, it's definitely different. I mean, I've noticed like going to an LGBT event at the same establishment and then not going, or going to the same establishment and just being a regular event. The air is just different, and I can't describe it. I can barely put it to words, but it feels amazing to be in that space. But it's so it's rare. I am excited. Starting in July, LGBT Center of Lancaster will be opening, coming to downtown Lancaster. They're going to be in a temporary space, and then our plans, Animal House, with this venue idea, is hopefully we could find a space where we could do our venues and arts, and then have enough space where we could donate space and actually form a permanent LGBT center with the committee that has been formed from the founder, Karen Foley. That's the long-term plan, that we could be together and have a block where everything is there. Yeah, this amazing ship. But I'm excited the LGBT Center is coming in July, and
Yeah.
then they're also partnering with Lancaster General Penn Medicine,
Yeah.
and there will be an LGBT wing in the hospital for
Wow.
LGBT people,
No way.
transgender community, offering therapy, hormone treatments, and just like general like PCP care. So
No way.
yeah, it's a big deal,
It is
and
a big
it's
deal.
very right now. It's pretty quiet, but I'm very
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, Xavier was actually just telling me about that because
Yeah.
he's on that committee.
Awesome.
Yeah. Do you know him?
I just met him about
Oh, okay.
I don't know, probably a week after I met you.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So
Vote for X.
yeah. So yeah, that's
Mm.
very interesting, and I think that's I didn't know all of that, but I think that's going to be a powerful shift in the city because I think it's going to be noticeable, and I think having the LGBT center here is going to bring some of that energy that we were talking about when you go to those events. Like you were talking about, like when you go to an event at one place, it feels like this, and the same event, and it's not one of those. Like, I think it's going to bring a lot of that energy to the city, which I think will be really powerful for non LGBT people and LGBT people. You know what I mean? I just think that there's a lot of stigmas around the LGBT community. And so having something that creates more events around them could actually break down a lot of those stigmas. Because again, we are still in Lancaster, which is very conservative. And so I think that center has the opportunity to kind of keep kind of attacking that negative stigma around the community for the people who have been here a long time who are very conservative, for them to kind of just do life. Like, I do the same thing when I talk about race with people. Like, when you do life with somebody, you realize that they're like just a human being, just like you. You know what I mean? And I think that like the center very has like a powerful way to possibly do some of that. You know what I mean? Just like bringing that atmosphere and bringing LGBT focus into different establishments because there's a natural center here. They'll have since it's not like out of Harrisburg anymore. They'll have like the ability to actually be on ground and like people actually know the people who are on the committee. Like they're community members that people know.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll actually have the ability to start doing things that break down cultural barriers and like stigma barriers, which is honestly how we create a more stronger community in the first place. Like until we can break down some of these like stigmas and prejudice and bias, like we're not even going to have the strong community that we really hope to have. So I think having a center here will actually really, really do a good job at creating the opportunities to break down those barriers. At least that's what I hope comes out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I know anything about like Xavier, and I'm sure Karen's the same way, like that's kind of going to be the focus of the center is to actually have these events and do those kinds of things and actually support the community, like the LGBT community, but also help create a better environment in the city for them because it's already a good one. Like I've been surprised at how progressive the city has been on those issues. Just because, again, like Lancaster and also recently being involved in more political stuff, but the city itself, like Lancaster City, is actually pretty inclusive for like the city is democratic, but like for having all of its surrounding be very conservative. Like I've actually been surprised at how big they are about jumping on that ship and saying yes, we accept the LGBT community, which is incredible, considering that like literally their counties next door would not have a rainbow flag. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Yeah.
I've been saying that at least in Lancaster County,
Yeah.
if you're there's no room for racism or homophobia, and if you're either one of those things,
Yeah.
You're not going to be successful here long term. So you either change your mindset or shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And don't come out.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
Yeah.
the city itself does like a really good job about addressing those things. And so I'd love to see that kind of leak into like the Leola, CV area. Like, how do we get to those people? You know what I mean? And just like, I don't know. Again, it's like, do you know about the bridge? You know Mustafa, Bridge Experience?
I do not.
Okay, so Mustafa, he runs this, he's a refugee, like, community leader. And his company, what they do is they have these refugee host families host dinners for people who have never met with refugees.
Oh wow.
So what he does is he's like very limited, like it's 5, 6 tickets dinner, and this family opens up their home, and they have this night where that family gets to talk about their experience of getting to
That's
America
amazing.
and their thing, and it actually just breaks down these stigmas around refugees and around immigrants and things like that. And I think that like that same model could keep like he hit it on the nail when it's like how do you break down stigmas and barriers that actually divide us, or that like Fox News and CNN and all those news networks try to like keep us divided. Like how do you break that down is actually just by like going into somebody's home and experiencing life with them and actually having a conversation with them about their experience.
Yeah.
And I think that since like Lancaster has watched him and he's such a big influential figure here, that like we're actually slowly getting to that point to where more people want to do those kinds of things. And I think the consent event is kind of like that. Like we're actually talking about something that people don't want to talk about. The same thing with the BDSM event
Mm-hmm.
or the fighting event or the firearm. Like those are things that people may not want to talk about, but they'll show up because they're going to be in the back of their heads. Like we all experience consent issues. Like that just happens across the board. People cross our boundaries every day sometimes, depending on where we work and where we do life. Um, and again, like we all have different fetishes and things like that. So like we're all gonna experience these different and complex things. And
Mm-hmm.
unless we can talk about them and like do life together and communicate and like actually be real, like it's again just gonna stay inside this box that makes us feel like almost like we're the only one. Or, the internet has kind of broken down some of that, but like we're the only one like in this area, which that is almost never true. You know what I mean? We're almost never the only one experiencing
No.
this issue.
And so easy
Yeah,
to think that way. And
it's very
even
easy.
if one day you think like the opposite,
Uh-huh.
tomorrow you could go back into that box.
Exactly.
And it's a good reminder to remind yourself that
Mm,
you're not the only one experiencing this.
exactly. And that's why I love the center, the events, and like what your venue will bring. I think they all go together really well, which is why I would hope that the LGBT center could be a part of your venue. Because
I would love
again,
that.
again, I think from the time you were 15, I think it just all culminates very well with who you are and who you wanted to be. Like I just think that you are a progression, not like an in and out kind of thing. All your work really kind of stacks on top of each other and kind of backs up like what I've seen in your own character. And so I'm really excited for this to happen. I
Thank
just
you.
think that you're gonna be able to really like go 110. Like I think you've already been at 100, but I think when you have a center, you're like, oh wait, this is my space now. I don't
Yeah.
have to ask anybody else if I can use their space or
Yeah.
work or run by anybody else's rules. Now I can be 110 Ryan because I don't have to worry about that 10% that was somebody else's space or somebody else's money. Like this is just me. And so I'm excited to see like kind of like all you bring after that point because then it's just like watch out because
Yeah.
Ryan Davis is here and he's here to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's what I'm excited for, to be honest, because I already see the energy you're bringing, and you just have the. I know that with the space, you have the ability to almost double down on it and make it concrete, which means that nobody can say no, you can't host an event here because you already can host it yourself,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yeah.
like that's a powerful place to be in. So yeah, dude, I'm excited.
Yeah, I can't wait for that dream to come
Yeah.
into reality. I have been so limited working in spaces doing
Mm-hmm.
shows because I have a show booked and I have one night to do the show, so I can only do as much as I can, like financially or just time wise,
Mm-hmm.
to create the atmosphere that I want,
Yeah.
and then I gotta tear it down that night or the next day, and
Yeah.
so I'm very limited on what I can actually project to the community in terms
Exactly.
of like what's realistic and feasible, possible
Mm-hmm.
in the 6 hours that I'm hosting this event. So
Yeah.
I look forward to basically creating in the space that I'll
Mm.
eventually call home.
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited. I'll be the first one in the doors the day it opens. I'll be out front. I'll camp out. When is it opening?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. But dude, thanks so much for coming. Dude,
Yeah.
seriously, thanks for being the last episode and bringing so much positive energy. You are always so good about that.
Yeah.
Ryan Davis, Animal House Production. That's your Instagram, right?
Yeah, Animal House Productions. Animal House Productions on Facebook too.
Animal House Productions.
And we have a website, and we're going to be releasing our women's self-defense and firearm workshops and LGBT self-defense and firearm instruction workshops this Tuesday.
Okay, cool.
Can't remember the date right now. I don't have the calendar.
I don't know either.
But yeah, this Tuesday, and they're going to be in May and June. And keep up on our website. We're going to be releasing Shibari workshops in June, and then Lancaster Pride will be happening Saturday, July 20th.
Wow. So much is happening like in the next couple of months.
Yeah, I'll find my head somewhere.
Stay alert. Stay alert because it's coming. All right. Well, thank you to everybody who watched all 10 episodes and who's been involved and who's been a guest. This has been an awesome experience. Yeah. So there's no next week. We're talking about season 2, so stay up and on the updates. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being a part of this experience. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.